Hi, I'm John McGuire. I'm the Global Search Product Manager. And today I wanted to kind of discuss and kind of make a video about something that I think a lot of product managers can kind of run into. Less than a year ago, I became the product manager for Global Search, and Global Search at GitLab had a series of multitude of years, probably overall about 4 years, where issues had been collected from users, from people that had worked on it. It was kind of contributed to by lots of different groups across GitLab. And as coming in as a product manager, I need to start figuring out how I want to analyze those things and kind of group them together, build out what is it our team is going to work on, understand I'm on a go do prioritization, group together some epics. And as I'm looking through it, there is quite a hefty number of issues that have been collected over those 4 years. In fact, there's almost 500 that I have really yet to go over. And this is after really several months of just kind of making sure we have the next thing that we're going to go work on organized. So understanding that like that would take a long time to try to go through each of these detailed issues, try to understand what is needed from those and figure out how to really kind of organize them, then reorganize them, make sure they're labeled correctly. And of course, GitLab has lots of tools for doing batches, but you need to create groups in order to understand what those batches are. And that is the problem. How do I create these groups? How do I group together this kind of clump of issues to understand what is a common path with them? And I have come up with a process that may work. I wanted to share it out. So this is our board, and you can see we have things that are organized through each milestone. We have 264 items that are issues that are in backlog, 146 that are open. And in our list of epics, they are a little bit, I would like to actually improve how they're organized. That would be the way I think of it. The ideal state is when I go to the issue board and I change the setting to group by epic, that I can actually have something here that's going to make more sense than this. This is not terrible by any means, but it does not really represent the core pieces that we're working through. And I want to try to provide a better structure that's more understandable for that. So where do I go from here? One of the great features of GitLab is that you can use the issue list inside of a project to filter down to a list of issues that you want to review. In this case, I have a list that's removing the things that are confidential. It has the label for my group, Global Search, and it's saying that there hasn't been an epic assigned. Now, because I want to consider reassigning some of those epics, and there's 261 issues listed here. But because I want to consider reassigning some of the things that may have an epic, I'm actually going to take this one off. So let's update that search. And now when I think about this, I really want to make sure these aren't things that I've already put into our current milestone, which coming up is going to be 13.9. So I don't really need those items. I can go ahead and take those out because I've already reviewed those. And there's, this is probably the list I need. There's 431 items and 889 overall. So that's quite an extensive list. Now, what I came up with was a tool that does text analytics and analysis, and it does some kind of some really kind of lightweight machine learning concepts. It can do some things that are more advanced too. But why I chose MeaningCloud, it has easy integration into Google Sheets, which we use a lot of at GitLab. It has a very high limit of 20,000 API requests per month. Now, I could see where I would easily be able to go over 20,000, but I don't think I would do that every month. And I think I could probably balance that out from a month-to-month cycle. And that's important because the plan they have that's not free, the least expensive plan they have that's not free is $100 a month, which I'll be honest, is probably worth it if you're going to need to do more than 20,000 API queries a month. I think you're probably doing something that probably is going to be worth that effort. So it's probably worth to support them with that. However, in this case, I'm just kind of experimenting. I'm not ready to invest the $100 a month. I just want to kind of see, if this is going to work for what I need. So with that, I can just export this to a CSV file, which is, of course, very easy to open up into Google Sheets, which I have right here. And the next piece is to set up your account with MeaningCloud, in which you will, through the normal type of account setup, you will be given an API key, and then you would need to configure that in the add-ons. Oh, actually, you'll want to install the add-on for MeaningCloud. Then you'll need to configure your API key. And there are good instructions on their website if you're not familiar with how to do that, but it's actually really simple. There's only the API key that it needs. Everything else is already linked into your account. I want to mention again that this is only the issues that are public. These do not include any confidential issues because this is going to use some cloud API, which I don't know the details of where that is. So I'm only going to trust this with something that I have publicly made available. I'm not going to put anything in there that would be confidential. So there are several different things that MeaningCloud can do. It can classify text, analyze sentiment, identify language, extract topics, cluster top text, categorize text. I'm not going to go into everything that it does, and there's good documentation that explains all this, but it's also pretty easy and inexpensive to actually just try it and see if you get like the output that it has, which I definitely would encourage trying to do that. In this case, I want to do cluster text. Now, I have two pieces of text. And the thing that I've kind of found is that the way the descriptions kind of show up with the markdown not rendered does tend to confuse the ML a little bit. So it'll look at something like overview and summary and say, oh, that's a pretty important group because I see that happen a lot. And it's like, it's not, right? It's actually should be ignored. So when that does happen, there are abilities to use stop words so that it does not include those items. And that is a very important feature, but you're going to probably need to do a few iterations of that if you're using the description field. Lots of good information in the description field, probably a better cycle to do some of the other types of analysis that they have for like deep learning. So deep learning would be the categorize of text. That is a whole nother piece that requires that you create a method of actually understanding what that text is about in the context that you mean, which has several more steps. But the one that is easy is just to cluster it. Now, what that means and what clustering is actually going to do, it's just going to say, I looked at these things, these seem similar enough, boom, there you go. And I'm going to just grab a word from that, apply this label, and we're going to call that group this. That's all it's going to do. So we'll group these things together, take a word, apply that to it, and say, boop, these are that. And it's going to also output some degree of certainty for it. So all those things are very nice. They're very helpful, and I want to try them out. So with that, I have put in a few things that I don't need the problem to solve because that was in the description field. I don't need summary. But I do not need GitLab. I do not need Elasticsearch. I don't need Elastic. Those are going to happen quite a bit because a lot of things we do have these words in it. ES, that stands for Elastic Stack. That's something I don't really need that I expect will come up quite a bit. There are quite a few that are just support type related that'll end up in the titles. I'm going to block those. And now this doesn't block the whole item. It just blocks that word from being analyzed with the clustering, right? Because it's just going to appear too often. It's not a meaningful word for the thing that I'm looking for. And hopefully that works. So with that, I have set this to the active range, which I have selected the title. I have said that it starts with a header, and I have, that's it. I just have the English set, and I want to do document grouping. I also have the option of topic modeling. I say experiment with both those. But let's go ahead and kick off one for document grouping. And the only other step I need to do is click Analyze. And here it goes. So what I will see here in a minute or two, just a few seconds, it should pop up with a new sheet. There it goes. And it is now doing the text clustering. And we can watch it happen real time as it clusters these. It has a percentage complete, which is a pretty nifty little feature as it's adding these in. But you can see that I already have some cluster kind of labels showing up here. Project file, commit, top, data, show. Here's GitLab, which I think I need to actually specify the capital L so that it gets omitted correctly. ES still got picked up, which I don't understand why. That might not be intended. But it could also just be that the label applying is not about that being a stop word. It's just applying that label. So it is almost done. 27, 28. And the output, which I already have, is going to look something like this. And so I have now gone through and sorted these by these categories. And you can see that like admin and administration, that's probably going to be the same. I would want to go through and manually review these still. I understand they all are still related to admin and maybe add some more detail. Like in this case, maybe it's related to administrative console, and that's what those issues are about. The other thing that I can do with this is a new feature that's fairly new with Google Sheets, I believe, is the Explorer. So Explorer will analyze your sheet and give you just drag them in and give you some quick graphs to kind of look at and see what your data looks like. This is incredible because I didn't really do anything. I just clicked the button that said analyze after setting it up. And if I wanted to do it again, the only thing I have to do is add some stop words and analyze it. In fact, that will be my next step from the analysis, is there are things I need to omit. So index had several things that were counted as index. This count is the number of items. And you can see at the bottom, you have a list of some of those like GitLab. So honestly, I would like to get those things that were grouped into GitLab to be reanalyzed into some other cluster. And so the way to do that is to then add these to your stop words, right? So I'll take the ones that I think, like global doesn't help me either. So I'm going to reanalyze global. I'm going to put that in the stop word list. I might keep index. Index is actually a very valuable thing for search. So I may just keep index, but I'll probably add to the stop word list global and GitLab, and then I will run this process again. And since those are the two kind of long polls that happen, I expect that those issues will get clustered into other groupings. And as they do, I should be able to kind of refine this down to at least the number of things that are topical that I can then apply like some epics to that group these things together. Now, that doesn't give me the structure I need to go and do prioritization and all that, but at least I have a way to look at what is our massive backlog without having to spend a tons amount of time to read through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of issues. Although eventually I do read through all those, but this will give me more of a structure to do that. Okay, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you do find anything that's useful to do with this tool, I'd appreciate the feedback. You know, there's 3 different kind of technologies merging here, but I was able to drag and drop and basically create some histogram analytics of a massive amount of information that's in the index. That's exciting to me as a product manager. And thank you.